Erev Tov Kvar Vradim. Good morning in Chicago. Bonjour in Brooklyn. My name's Wayne Firestone. Welcome, everybody. I'm the executive director of the America-Israel Friendship League, and it's a thrill to be with you today to talk about a topic that we all love, food, making food, eating food, French food in particular. So bon appetit. We have many wonderful surprise dishes for you to learn about today. Let's begin by picking your palate a little bit. What is your favorite French food that you love or would love to have a recipe to learn about? So put something in the chat. Tell us what about French food really gets you going. And you're going to meet today with two amazing chefs in different parts of the world who have at least one thing in common. We've discovered a few things. We're already hearing crepes as a favorite. That's certainly one that French chefs know a thing or two about. Today, we're going to learn about a number of different dishes that have French influences, which is the common theme for one of our chefs that's based in New York today, but born and raised in France, Johann Giraud. He was born into a culinary family. You're going to hear a little bit about that, multi-generational, including a sister who is still in Paris. We're going to be hearing from Johann directly today from New York and learn about the restaurant that he has there. It has a great name, excuse my French, and you'll excuse my French as well and my French pronunciation to the extent I try today. But as I said, French cooking and catering and culinary arts are part of their family. His sister is still running a restaurant that he helped co-found called Nomads in Paris as we speak. And so this continued love of French food on at least two different continents is something we're going to get to uniquely explore today. We're also going to hear today from Chef Nir Zook. For those of you that have been on our foodie webinars before, Nir is not new to us, and we love peeking in on life in Jaffa. This is someone who not only lives in Jaffa and cooks in Jaffa and creates in Jaffa, but he sort of sees Jaffa as his own dining room. So I think that's a pretty cool distinction to have. It's such a unique place. And indeed, Chef Zook has experienced study of restaurants in different parts of the world and brought that back to Jaffa from San Francisco to France. And we're thrilled that just as he came back to Israel and saw Jaffa as a place that he wanted to cook in, that he created a place called Jaffa Bar. He has shared his culinary insights not only in his restaurants and from his own home kitchen where he creates, but also on Channel 2 in the program in Israel called Zook. And so we're thrilled to have Nir back. Nir, you've been on the show before. What are you going to do that's a little bit new today?
Actually, I'm going to bring some memories of my life in Paris almost 25 years ago. And I'm going to teach you my first dish that I learned in Paris when I was 16, traveling with my mom into a small bistro in a market in Paris, which I was shocked from the cooked leeks. And I went into the kitchen and learned it. And I'm going to teach you today how to make it and some other dishes as well.
We are greatly looking forward to that, and it's just always such a wonderful experience. So thanks for coming back to be with us, Johann. I know that you have many people in your family who have influenced your work. Tell us a little bit about your journey from France to New York, and a little bit about what you're going to share with us today.
Hi, my name is Johann Giraud. I'm a French-American chef. I came in United States back in 1992 for 6 months, and it's been 29 years, and I'm still here. In the meantime, I opened another restaurant with my sister 21 years ago in Paris called Nomad, 1214 Place du Marché Saint-Honoré on the first quarter of Paris. Much bigger than the one in New York. In New York, we have 50 seats. In Paris, we have 210. Plus a big terrace and everything. And there's a recipe that they are similar, like the steak tartare is the same recipe that I have for 20 years. The same in Paris and here. The lollipops that I'm going to show you, the lollipops foie gras, as you can see, piece of foie gras, raw, are from here. And the whole family was in a restaurant business. I talked about my parents. I was born in a restaurant business, in a catering business with my sister. Then we opened the first restaurant in Paris 21 years ago that we still have it. And I opened the one in New York 7 years ago.
Fantastic. So we're going to go back and forth with the two different recipes from the two different chefs today. Nir, what do you got in front of us, and what do you want to start off the show with?
Okay, so I'm starting with the leeks. As you can see, I'm already slicing them. I'm making sure I'm choosing young leeks, as young as possible. Now it's the beginning of winter, so we have the best leeks of the season. And directly I'm soaking them into cold water, because as we all know, sometimes in the leek between the layers, you have a lot of sand. So I'm cutting off the green part and throwing it away. And I'm slicing the leeks into the water, and from the water into a small pot where I'm going to first boil it for like 15 or 20 minutes. Actually, time is not important. What I do through the cooking, once in a while, I just taste a small piece of leek, and I want it to be tender and sweet. Basically, I'm going to lose all the oniony taste and get the sweet taste of the leek out. So let's let it boil. And once it's going to be cooked, all I'm going to have to do is season it. Super simple and beautiful. And the first time I tasted it, it was served by a huge steak in a restaurant that all it had was one kind of steak and the poiron vinaigrette, which is the leeks in vinaigrette. And it was actually a big lesson for me about simplicity and beauty.
Simplicity and beauty sounds like a great introduction to this episode. So let's go back now to New York. And Chef Giraud, what do you want to start with today?
We're gonna start with the steak tartare, the same recipe that I have in Paris and in New York. It's very, very simple. First of all, you take a nice piece of, for me, the best part of the beef. It's the filet mignon, the more expensive, but the most tender and nice. You take it and you chop in pieces that is gonna be raw and very smooth. Each bite have to be need to melt in your mouth. No big piece, very, very small. So you chop as much as you can. Then you add the sauce. The sauce, it's made with little cornichon. If you see this little cornichon from France, it's a pickle. That is, we call them cornichon. You put the sauce is with capers, the same amount of capers, cornichon, Winchester sauce, which is a black sauce. You put Tabasco for the spice. 2 yolk eggs mix in the sauce. You can mix with shallots or onion. I do shallots because the flavor is more tender for me. It's I prefer. Then you put the same amount of ketchup, mustard, regular mustard, Dijon mustard, capers, and cornichon. These 4 things, you mix it together with the shallots and Worcestershire sauce, 2 York eggs, and you put the Tabasco as your flavor. Usually, when I taste the sauce, it's pretty spicy, because when you're gonna add to the meat right there, it's going to be less spicy, and it's going to be the flavor that you deserve. So we mix everything. Then this is the result of the sauce. It's brown sauce that you can keep in the fridge for two portion of the tartare. You put 2 spoons of the sauce. You mix the whole thing together. The present, I'm gonna show for people to know that when they serve tartare at home, this is very easy to make at home. The trick to have a beautiful plate, it's very easy. It's a lot of decoration, a lot of color, different color, and the plate must be equal to the color that you're gonna put for the presentation. So most of the time, I take black plate. Black plate. You see the meat is brown with the sauce. Supposed to is red. You put the sauce, it's brown. Little trick. This is mayonnaise. I put water in the mayonnaise to be little light. You take a brush, as you see. You take a brush. Then you make like a tray. It looks nice. Then you can hold the tartare. You take a mold. This is the mold that you take, you put. Then you're gonna put the tartare on top. So the mix that you did, you put inside. See, this is exactly what the way we serve in the restaurant. You make a little hole in the middle. Why? Because for the presentation, I like the quail eggs. The quail eggs is a super tiny eggs, and I use the yolk. To make a nicer. It's you don't have to do it, but it's for the presentation. It looks much better. People love it. Well, I even have a review once that somebody came only for the tartare, and they told me, "Oh, I was so disappointed because the yolk will break inside the tartare." So you have to make sure, like this. See, it didn't break.
Wow. Well, look, if we did show some appetizing pictures before of the recipes of Chef Giraud. If you can't make the recipes look exactly like that, I'm sure they will taste just the same. And of course, we're going to send everyone who asks, who's watching us now, if you want to get copies of the recipes, just send us a note and let us know, and we'll make sure you receive those afterwards. And we can't promise that yours will look exactly the same. There was why don't we move back for a moment, but we have some questions starting to come in that we'll get to as well. But we're going to be preparing several dishes at the same time. So Nir, can you tell us a little bit about the next dish? I know you said that your first dish is actually paired very well with steak. So if somebody wants to take 1 and 1, they already have a good start for an amazing meal.
Okay, so I already cooked before some leeks. So I have very well cooked leeks over here. I strained it. And basically, it's super simple. Now is the seasoning, a little red wine vinegar, some salt, olive oil, quite generously with the olive oil, a pinch of chili. What's very nice about those leeks is basically once you season it well, it can stay in the fridge for like a week or almost up to 2 weeks. And then I always have it in the fridge, and it always saves me. When I have guests and I need some quick salad, or I want to make a nice roast beef sandwich, or add it to even a pasta sauce when I'm being lazy, I always have those leeks in the fridge. I mix it well, checking the seasonings that it's nice. Now this is super basic seasoning. Whenever I serve it, I can add herbs, I can add capers, I can do a lot of things with it to play with it, but I always start with the most basic seasoning. So later on I can play with it. Now, you want to ask a question or you want me to move to the tuna?
Yeah, I want to ask a question. If I could be a guest at your house on a day when you're lazy, if that's okay.
Believe me, rather be a guest at my house when I'm in good mood.
Okay. All right. I'd settle for either. You should know that Geeta has already written in saying she's still making your fish stew recipe.
Nice.
So you should know that there's going to be a lot of lazy dishes in people's refrigerators with your name attached to them. So
I'm honored.
So what else do you have for us, Nir, that follows this recipe as well?
Okay, so again, something very easy and very nice to do at home is some tuna confit, which basically what we're going to do, I'm going to make tuna preservations, but homemade. So in order to start with this, I'm taking a small pot and I'm putting insane amount of olive oil inside. The tuna has to soak inside the olive oil. Now I'm seasoning the olive oil with some chili and garlic. Of course, you can add some bay leaves or thyme or rosemary, whatever you like. Again, I'm keeping it simple. Now, I have this coffee grinder or spice grinder. I'm crushing every day some black peppers. This is something I recommend everyone to get for their house. It's super cheap and very helpful. All my spices I grind at home, so not complicated. I kept some of the green from the leek to flavor the oil, and then I'm putting the oil to heat up. It's time to take care of the tuna, prepare it. The actual part of cooking is going to be very quick. Now it depends if I'm preserving the tuna for next week or later on, or I'm going to eat it tonight or tomorrow. Personally, I like to eat it fresh, so I will cook it less. As you saw, I'm using parchment paper when I'm cutting tuna on the cutting board, just to avoid the smell later on. And
how fresh is that
taking
tuna?
off the skin.
How fresh is that tuna, Nir?
Wow, super fresh. It's locally caught. So I assume it was caught yesterday. As you can see, it's a piece from a very, very big tuna. So I'm dicing it to large cubes. And basically, when the garlic will be ready to be eaten, I will turn off the heat and add the tuna. And basically, by the time the oil will be cool, the tuna will be ready. So there's hardly any cooking. As you can see, this is a sushi grade tuna. So basically, I can just put some salt on it and enjoy it fresh.
Voila.
Confying it makes life more interesting.
And delicious. So
Yeah.
let's I keep thinking about you and those fishermen in the local market. What they must be thinking every time you approach them with a new idea. Let's go back for a moment to New York. Johann, what dish do you have for us next to follow up with the steak?
The next dish is going to be a duck confit. The duck confit is I take the legs of duck. This is cooked in his own fat, super slow for 6 hours.
Mm.
So if you don't have this, if you don't want to do this at home, you can buy it in a can or in a jar that is already made, or in a vacuum bag that is already made, and depends of the brand that you're going to take. But usually in the kitchen we do that at, inside. It's a preparation. 6 hours cooking in his own fat. That's the method of confit anything. So if you want to confit your duck, you put in a slow cooking with his own fat, and that's the way it comes out. It's full of grease. That's why I'm wearing gloves. It's full of grease, the duck. So what you do, you take off the skin. Usually people don't eat the skin, but what I do with it, I put the skin on the grill to make it crispy. And after I had the whole thing with the duck with no bone like this, and I chop everything, the duck skin and the meat of the duck without the bone, and the result, it gets little piece of duck. So this is the first part for the meat that we're gonna use. I do a dish called duck confit parmentier. Parmentier is the name of the person who bring the first potato in France back in the 16th century. And that was his name, Parmentier. That's why I call the Parmentier. And it's Napoleon, like a millefeuille. One part is mashed potato, crushed potato exactly. You take the Yukon boiled potato, you cook it in the water, then after you peel it, you smash it with olive oil and salt, pepper, and turmeric. The result is get you the potato like this. I put it on a camera so you can see it better. It gives you the potato like this. So after you start, you see my skin is getting crispy on the grill. But after you start with a mold like this, you have to have the mold like this. You can put it in a tray. So what you do, you put one part of potato like this. Then after you put some of the duck like this. I found out that the recipe was too dry for the first months that I was doing this recipe. It was too dry for my taste, because once you put in the oven, then it gets crispy. The inside gets not mushy, but too hard and not dry. It's too dry, which the result I don't like. So what I did, I add in the middle. I make a hole in the middle, and I put some truffle puree that you can buy anywhere. It's a little truffle chopped with olive oil, which is a very good thing. This is a little cane. It's like $11 in the market. So what I do, I put in the middle some truffle, and the flavor of the truffle when it's in the oven is gonna melt in the duck. So when you have the duck, the truffle in the middle, you close the whole thing with more crushed potato to give you a nice layout. The result the result of the thing, it's going to be like this. You see, there is a potato, crushed potato. There is a duck. In the middle, you don't see, but there's truffle and more potato. And on the top, it's a breadcrumb mixed with turmeric, because the turmeric put a nice color on everything. You cook a chicken, you cook a fish, you cook anything. Turmeric is a very good spice. It doesn't have any flavor in particular, but it's very good for your organism. And that's what I love to put it everywhere. Then after you put 10 minutes in the oven, 10 minutes in the oven, the temperature you put approximately at 500 Fahrenheit, which is 240 Celsius, 10 minutes, then it gets crispy and nice color, nice brown, not black, but brown on the top with the turmeric and the bread. And then when you're ready to serve, show you the result with the same decoration. I put more truffle on the top, and little bubble truffle, which is this. This is from France, and it's truffle that they put in a different liquid to make a bubble. It's called a truffle flavor pearls, and it's you can buy this on Amazon. This is like $35 a little jar. But the thing is, the result, people always like, oh, is that caviar? No, it's truffle pearl, which is awesome.
Well, the turmeric color is just popping off the plate. It's absolutely gorgeous. We had a question from Yvonne, Johann, about whether the duck and the potatoes are cold, or is one of them served warm, or are they both served cold?
Everything is prepared in advance. Everything is cold. When you put the layout, everything is cold. And once you take off your mold, you put in a tray like this, ready to go to the oven. Like if I do that, you see, it's ready to go to the oven. I take off the mold, it's ready to go to the oven. Then, of course, on the tray, you put in the oven. The oven is under me for 10 minutes. Until the color is brown, and it's gonna be hot inside and crispy outside. So we put the timer.
And in 10 minutes, we'll come back and see what it looks like, a little bit browned, right?
Okay. In the meantime, we're gonna start with the foie gras. So whenever you're ready, let's do it the foie gras.
Okay, let me check in on Nir first, and then we'll come back to your next dish. Nir.
No problem.
Wow, the duck sounds amazing.
Thank you.
You know, I was just in Périgord the other week, the areas that specialize in duck and truffles, and it sounds like my trip.
Is duck?
Anyway,
do you get many requests for duck in your restaurant in Jaffa, or it's not really? You have to go to France for that.
No,
or New York.
Duck is very heavy for most of the year in Israel, especially duck confit.
Yeah.
You know, after all, Jaffa is 90% of the time summer. So the garlic that we have in the oil is ready. And already, I'm sure you can all smell the leeks and the garlic and the chili. And I close the heat, and I'm adding the tuna cubes into the oil. I hope you have the visual of this beautiful.
We do. It's incredible. So we have a great view of what you're up to there.
And as you can see, it's starting to change color. So we already have all the seasoning inside, and now we just need to be a little patient. for the tuna to be ready.
Israelis are not always known for their patience, Nir.
That's true. When I'm talking about patience, I'm talking about 3 minutes for the tuna, not
Okay.
6 hours for the confit. That sounds like an Israeli patience, no?
That sounds like an Israeli joke. That's great.
Yeah. In the meanwhile, I decided to treat you with some nice trick that I've been doing lately. So as you can see, I have a pan with some olive oil here. Can you see the oil is very, very hot?
Yeah,
Or you don't see?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, you're gonna hear the sound in a minute. So I'm taking half of the lettuce that I was preparing for the vinaigrette, and I'm putting it sliced on the olive oil. Do you hear the beautiful sound?
It sounded, we heard it.
So I'm going to count to 3. 1, 2, 3. Basically, my roasted lettuce is finished. You recognize this fruit?
No, can't see it.
Okay, so this is the, you see it better now? You recognize?
No, actually,
This is
forward.
fresh horseradish.
Ah, okay.
So my family comes from Poland originally, and this is considered to be our Polish foie gras.
Nice.
This is as good as it got in Poland. I'm grating the horseradish over the hot lettuce, a squeeze of lime, and basically some salt, and ready to eat.
Wow.
Horseradish is spicy, as you know, and the crunchy lettuce with bites of cold lettuce, warm lettuce, and the spice is fabulous.
How long
Now
that,
for the
so what happened to that
vinaigrette.
3-minute recipe?
Yeah, why not? Some surprises are always good. So I'm ready to start making the vinaigrette if you are ready.
Okay, we'll come back to you on the vinaigrette. Let me come back to
Great.
Chef Giraud. And we had a question about the meat dish earlier, about whether you chop the meat by hand or do you recommend using a food processor with meat?
It's better that you buy a nice piece of filet mignon and you cut it in a small dice yourself instead of putting in a machine to like a burger or steak haché, whatever. Hand cut is better for tartare. Small piece, of course, so you don't have to chew too much, but it's much better. Mix it, the flavor will be better hand cut, and the visual it's better as well.
And we also had a question about what are the size of the molds that you use?
The size is very small because I use the mold this mold because of my place is a tapas place, so it's not big. But you can use the mold that you want. It can be big or small or whatever. The most important is 1 layer of crushed potato, 1 layer of duck, 1 layer of crushed potato. So you have 3 colors. This is the most important. That doesn't matter the size of the mold. The visual of the 3 parts is the most important.
Great. All right. So tell us about this next dish you're going to share.
The next dish is for typical French, which is foie gras. So you have foie gras terrine, you have that looks like pâté if you want. You have pan-seared foie gras. You have many different ways of doing the foie gras. So what I do in New York, I slice little piece of the duck liver and it comes like this, little piece of approximately 40 to 50 grams. I dip them in the little grain, which is to make it crispy. So you have this is sesame brown and sesame black. So it looks like this. You see, foie gras. It looks like this. So what I do after this, I take a chopstick, like that you use for cocktail or anything. I put the chopsticks inside the foie gras, like a lollipop. And what we're gonna do, see, this is the both sides.
Mm-hmm.
So what we're gonna do, we're gonna put them on the grill. Sesame face first to pan sear the foie gras, and you can see pan sears the foie gras. In the meantime, that is cooking, you prepare your plate. So what I do, I put some. This is a cherry vinegar reduction with sugar. Cherry vinegar with sugar. So this is gonna be the beginning of the plate. Decoration. This is optional. You can do whatever you want. I put a nice orchid usually and some pomegranate. It's big for the color. Purple, red, green, brown. You see the whole color makes a difference. So for me, when the plate comes to the table, the first things you do, you want to take a picture because it looks nice. So if it looks nice, you want to eat it, and you're gonna have pleasure to eat what is beautiful in front of you. As you see now, the lollipop is getting brown. You turn them. You let them cook a little bit. They have to be warm. You have to be warm inside, no cold, warm inside. But the foie gras is only grease. So if you let it go, it's gonna disappear. It's like oil. So you make it sure that it's cooked nice. See how brown it is on the other side. This is the sesame seed size. This is the other side. You can touch it. You can see the bubble coming out. When you see the bubble coming out, it's ready to put on a plate.
Beautiful. Those are some lollipops.
So what you do after you take your plate and you put the two pieces next to each other on the top of the reduction of cherry vinegar. So my touch, I put on the top the fleur de sel. Fleur de sel, it's the most expensive salt that you take on the top of the marais, salty marais in that they do actually is in France in my region, and this is fleur de sel from Giraud. That's where I come from, and this little bucket it's $45. For salt, it's very expensive, but the flavor, I don't put any salt. Most of the time, I don't put too much salt on my dishes. And the last flavor is the fleur de sel. This fleur de sel, it's when it comes in your mouth, you can feel the flavor right away. Mm. So this is ready to serve, and most of the time I serve this with a couple of slices of crunchy black baguette from France. I received my bread from Paris, pre-cooked, and I finished cooking here. And the flavor of this dish with the fresh baguette is to melt. So good, so good, so good, so good.
Well, talk about patience. Nir, I'm assuming when you go to get pita, it's a lot shorter trip to make
Definitely.
it onto your table.
Definitely, much more ecologically. As you can see, the tuna is ready. So now basically you can choose if you want to can it or you just want to eat it. Would be great on a salad or just like this in a piece of lettuce. I'm very happy with this show. Okay, are you ready for my artichoke vinaigrette?
I am, but I have one question. The Mediterranean diet, as you were describing, because of the weather, because of your closeness to the ocean, etc., it's a lighter diet. You've spent time in France and you've worked in restaurants that have used a lot of different cuisines. What have you been able to adapt from the French cuisine that works well for a lighter diet and for people who tend to be eating less heavy foods these days for health reasons?
So even when you travel in France these days, you'll see that their kitchen is becoming lighter and lighter. Now, what you do, basically, France has amazing agriculture. So you take the things that they do on the side and you bring it into the main. When you sit in a French restaurant in France, you'll hardly ever get vegetables as a main dish, but you'll get great sides made of beautiful vegetables. So you take the sides and you mix them with the protein, and you just put aside a little bit of the cream and butter, and your life becomes much lighter. I hope I'm making sense.
Absolutely. So you go ahead and I see you're already starting in on the third dish. You want to tell us a little about it?
Yeah, very, very, very easy. I'm going to make the artichoke vinaigrette for my green salad. Now it's for my green salad, but I can tell you that in my everyday life, I can take this vinaigrette and even use it on raw fish. So I have some jarred Italian artichokes. Don't try and be smart and make it from fresh artichoke. It won't work. So I have some garlic, some nice amount of artichoke, about 2 hearts. The artichoke will give it an extra flavor and thickness. Now, as we all know, vinaigrette is 2/3 olive oil and 1/3 vinegar, right? So I have some oil from the artichokes. I'm using it as well as the olive oil to get extra flavor. Some salt, pepper, chili. I added the garlic before. I can put now cilantro or parsley, whatever I like. And of course, the 1/3 vinegar. Then last, it's going to go into the machine to puree, and then it will be drizzled over the greens or over the fresh fish, or sometimes if I make skewers on a barbecue, I will bring on the side in a jar the artichoke vinaigrette for the skewers. Then I will make it spicier with some more chili. I'm going to leave you for a second to make some noise.
Okay. All right. So why don't we'll mute the noise for a moment and go back to Johann. Johann, I think you've got one more dish to show us as well.
Yes. The next dish that I'm gonna do, it's one of the main dish of the restaurant in New York. In Paris, it's not working. Here, it's crazy. So I'm like the difference between American people and French people about the food. You put on the menu what people like. It's Brussels sprout. Brussels sprout in France was popular back in the 70s, 80s. Now it's like no big deal. But here, people love it. So what I did, I take little Brussels sprouts. The smaller, the better. Sometimes I take baby Brussels sprouts, but they are more expensive. And you cut them in half. You take off the black part and the leaves that they are not nice, and you cut them. Or your plancha hot or your saute pan hot. You put olive oil and you saute them. You put them on a plancha like this. Show me with the camera. So what I do, I put some oil, and you see, I am gonna turn them the size that I want the color. This is very important to make sure that the color that the brown color that I want, it's gonna be on each one of these. So the easier is when you put more oil. Right? So you see, they're all getting brown. It takes the pan is very hot, or the plancha is very hot, and the sugar of the vegetable is gonna get you this color.
Mm.
So you mix them a little bit to make sure you have the color that you want. See, they're getting brown, nice color. They're all brown, nice. Both sides, they have a nice color. They're still raw. So you put them in a plate. This is all nice and crispy. And now the secret of the recipe, it's what you're gonna put on top. I saw many American recipe with cinnamon. Anything. I don't like cinnamon too much, especially in a crepe is okay. But so I change with my flavor with what I like. So again, fleur de sel, pomegranate. I love pomegranate, so I put pomegranate. I put pomegranate in a lot of my dishes. This is cranberry, dry cranberry. Soak it in a hot water. And the most important is this. This is Espelette piment. This is a piment from south of France near Biarritz, and it's a little village. And this piment comes only from this village. It's the village called Espelette. So it's piment of Espelette. It's a red chili flavor piment.
So it's hot. It's a hot.
Very. The flavor, it's unbelievable when you put in it. Then I put sliced almond roasted in the oven. So the dish is almost ready to go. And what I do, because most of the people, they don't like it when it's too raw. So what I do after, I use the microwave and I warm them up to fill up all the flavor that I put, to put the flavor all together. Okay, some people say, oh, you use microwave. Listen, guys, it's 2021. It's time to use what you have. And a microwave in a regular kitchen of a family is always there. So what you or if you don't want to use microwave, you can cook them until the flavor that you want, or blanch them at the beginning. I don't like that. I prefer to cook them raw and put them in the microwave. And when it's finished, the microwave is right here. When it's finished, what I do, I put some balsamic vinegar around it, and inside it, balsamic reduction with sugar, and this is the dish.
Wow.
It's super easy, super easy. Whatever I do here is super easy.
It's super easy, but how come
you can make it? It's just have to have the right ingredients. And the secret of the Brussels sprout is the little piment espelette. This is the secret.
But you're more likely to find this dish in New York than you are in Paris these days.
Definitely. for your sentence that you just said, in New York I have 50 seats. I sell one case of Brussels sprout every 2 days. In Paris, I have 200 seats. Okay, it takes me a month to sell a case, so it's not on the menu anymore since a long time.
So what you sell in New York in 2 days takes a month to sell in
Yeah, because it's an old dish. It's an old traditional dish from France, and people in France they looking for something else. Or the kitchen in Nomads Paris is more elaborate than mine. My kitchen is super small. You can work at 2 people here, max, and because it's a small restaurant.
Sure.
The kitchen in Paris, you have 12 people cooking, and it's 7 days a week, lunch and dinner, brunch for Sunday. And here we do only nighttime, 5 to 2 o'clock in the morning. And it's a tapas place. You can come for drink or for cocktail and leave. Or you can have one tapas with your cocktail or with your wine, red wine or rosé. I drink rosé, for example. And have one tapas or have a full dinner. Yeah, like you can have mozzarella, burrata, one duck, for example, one foie gras, and the dessert, the crepe. I'm from Brittany, so of course it's crepe. Crepe with a lot of butter. Butter is the key.
Well, we are, of course, going to share all the recipes, and we showed you before from Johann some of the presentations of what the final dishes look like. We'll send those as well. Before we show everyone each of your final dishes, just so they can see what it looks like, I heard the timer go off for Johann earlier on the duck, so we'll want to see how it came out, a little bit browned. But I want to come back to Nir. Nir, what do Israelis eat in larger quantities compared to other dishes that you would say? Is there an equivalent to the Brussels sprout that the Brussels sprout in New York that is very popular among Americans? What would you say you're finding that you just can't get enough of from the markets in Jaffa?
Definitely, Israelis, the highlight is vegetables, and I think the queen in Israel is the eggplant, and the queen is the tomato, and the king is the eggplant. That's in Israel, I assume, but all vegetables are a huge highlight in Israel. As you can see, the vinaigrette artichoke is ready. I'm just drizzling it over the fresh lettuce. And basically, I can add some almonds or anything I wish, and it's ready to be served.
So I think on when we met last, you introduced us a little bit to the king and the queen. So where would you put the artichoke and the leeks today? Are they the princesses and the princes of the dish?
Okay, so now it's beginning of winter. So the first of fresh artichokes just came to the markets today. And I think almost all Israelis are in love with fresh artichokes. So people sit at dinner in front of the TV and just eat boiled artichokes. So I think in that term, artichoke is definitely an issue.
With a lot of
leek
butter,
is
right?
very basic. And I think also in French cuisine and every cuisine, leek is the beginning of almost every stew. It will come with the onion, the carrot, and the celery. So I think this is where we are in those two vegetables. But now it's the beginning of leek season. And I think it's worthwhile giving it the stage.
Nice. Can we take a peek at those final dishes there, and
Sure.
anything you want to share about serving a meal that looks like this?
Wow. Just fun food for dinner, easy things to make at home, things that, recipes you should keep in mind. And, almost everyone has lettuce in the fridge. And, just roast it for a minute.
And what bottle of wine would you serve with this, Nir?
Definitely something white like a Sauvignon Blanc.
Nice. All right, before we go back to Johann with a final look at his dishes, we have a little clip from his restaurant. You heard a little bit about it. It's tapas, and it's smaller dishes also that are paired with a wine and wine bar. So we'll show you what that looks like. We hope for those of you in the New York area that you'll actually stop in to excuse my French. And so let's take a quick look at what it looks like on a typical day. Well, that was exciting. Just love the vibe that you've created there. Johann, you want to show us just a final view of the dishes that you prepared today?
Yeah, so I took off the duck from the oven after 10 minutes. You see how the color brown.
Yes.
And so on the top, to make it more visually attractive, I put some wheat grass. It's something that you use when people go at the gym. They use to press it, to use the liquid that comes out of this. And so the presentation looks like this. And I add some truffle pearl that it fell like nicely, like a cascade. And as you see, the dish is, when it comes to the plate, you want to take a picture and eat right away. You have also the foie gras lollipops with the orchid and the fleur de sel on the top, the Brussels sprout, and the tartare. All these dishes are super easy to make. Maybe the difficult part is the duck confit, but the rest is super easy. It takes a couple of minutes. If not a chef, or it's gonna take like a half an hour. But if you have the right ingredients, it's super easy to make. And you can prepare in advance, like the tartare can be in the fridge an hour before your guests coming and everything. The foie gras takes 5 minutes on the hot pan to get warm. The Brussels sprout you saw at the plancha, it takes not more than 5 minutes if the plancha is hot. The most difficult must be the duck confit. But if you have already the duck pre-cooked, just make some nice crushed potato. I call crushed potato because I crush it. I don't mousseline the potato like mashed potato. I crush it, so you have piece of potato inside. So for me, it's you can tell that it's homemade. When it's all nice and everything, sometimes you're like, oh, you have a doubt that the potato is already, you bought the potato like this. But same for the duck. then all the ingredients that I'm telling you, you can find them on a store near you, find a grocery store, or most of the things are available on Amazon, and you found them easily, and you can deliver it in your house, like the truffle pearl. This is just for decoration, but when the dish comes to the table, everybody asks, "Oh, what is the pearl? What is the pearl?" And that's the beauty of it. Like, oh, I found that.
Well, we are very much looking forward to coming to visit you at your restaurant on Orchard Street in New York City. Nir, where do we find you in Jaffa when you're not with the fishermen or in your kitchen? How do people get a taste of the real deal?
At the moment, I'm hosting groups at my house in Old Jaffa, as well as consulting to some food tech company and hotels. So basically, arrange a group of friends and come spend the night with me.
That sounds absolutely amazing. And both Nir and Johann, thank you so much for generously sharing these amazing culinary delights. It truly is an art, a fine art. And we're so thrilled that you were of your generosity to share this with our audience today. We will be continuing on the theme of high arts and culture, which we cover a lot on our webinar series. This coming weekend on Sunday, we have a very special program orchestrating a cultural legacy that focuses on the Buckman Mehta School of Music. And you are going to go behind the scenes to really see how classical music and the very finest music coming out of Israel, what the pipeline is, what the training is like, who are some of the maestros conducting the orchestras today. So we hope you'll join with us. It's been a busy period for us. We've got a big 50-year birthday party coming up in New York next week. So we hope we'll be able to stop by maybe Orchard Street while we're in town. And for a special thanks to our team here today, Cassia, Raquel, and Gal, who were mainly off the camera today, all the hard work that went into being able to show the different dishes and preparation. And we're grateful to you all. Everyone, have a great and safe week. And we hope to see you soon on our webinar series, or maybe even in person at with one of these great chefs, or at our 50-year birthday party in New York next week.
Thank you.
Bonjour. Goodbye.